go ahead.
Yeah, Washington more of a familiar opponent as far as Big Ten goes, and also in terms of like portal turnaround, a lot of their team has stayed the same.
Yeah.
How much of an advantage is that for you to kind of know the team, not have to do as full of a scout?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a huge compliment to Tina Langley, their head coach. She, really invests in her players, and that's why they don't have a lot of turnover, is because she does such a great job with their program. But honestly, it is a big advantage. It feels more like a Pac-12, opener than a Big Ten opener. But obviously, having that background with them, knowing them really well, is probably an advantage for us in terms of starting out the Pac-12. Or excuse me, starting out the Big Ten. I shouldn't have even started that.
And then it's a long season, obviously.
Yeah.
You guys have got off to just about as good of a start as you could hope for. But how important is like intermediate goal setting in terms of keeping the team focused and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't know if we're as much intermediate goal setting. It's really about getting better and having an urgency to do so. And when you have all this external attention, sometimes it's really easy to let complacency set in. And I think it's if you want to be a championship program at the end of the year, our only focus needs to be on the urgency of our habits and what kind of intentionality do we have to that end. But I do think you have to really work at that, because human nature would have a letdown. Human nature would be like, let me believe what I'm seeing in the press. But the reality is, you got to compete every day. There has to be an urgency about being better when you walk through the doors than when you walked out of them. And so that's really what my focus is how urgent can you be? And I'm trying to celebrate the people that are doing that and hold the people accountable that might have some slippage.
Going back to Sunday's matchup, what have you seen from Washington's team, and what are some key factors that your team is going to have to do to
Yeah, I think Sellers is such an improved player this year, and how she's getting downhill and the way in which they're scoring efficiently in transition. They were pretty much a Chin, Princeton-oriented team. They've added a lot more dimension to their offense this year. But that really good recruiting class last year are now a year older, and they're all together, so they have really good chemistry. And they've also added another post. They're playing 2 posts now a majority of the time, where last year they were playing 4 guards a majority of the time. And so I just think they shoot the ball well. They're balanced. They know who they are. I just think their abilities to, attack with efficiency and the way that they're defending and scoring in transition is they're a really good team.
And now you're going into Big Ten play. Can you just discuss the level of competition in the Big Ten? What challenges you anticipate from the road ahead?
I don't know the latest one, and maybe Cori, you could help me with this, but I think we're at 9 or 10 teams in the top 25, and I just think projecting 10 or 11 to go to the NCAA tournament. I mean, it's dramatic. So really thankful to be in the Big Ten. I'm really impressed with the leadership from Commissioner Petiti to Megan Kahn, who's runs women's basketball, and the whole organization. They're setting the curve, and they are really elite decision makers, and I feel like we are really fortunate to be in such good company. And I just think they're great coaches, great players, and I think we're really lucky to be playing in what's shaping up to be the #1 women's basketball conference in the country.
And now, as the 9 teams, you are #1 right now. As the #1 team in the nation, what must this team continue to do well, and what areas of improvement are needed to hold that spot?
Yeah, every week we really try to be intentional about what we're focusing on to get better. I always tell our team the answer to every question is get better. You want more playing time? Get better. You want to, make sure that we're winning games and having fun? Get better. So that really is it. This week we're really trying to, not be such ball watchers. I thought in Hawaii we did both on offense and defense too much standing and watching the ball. We want to have much more efficiency and activity away from the basketball, both in help side defense and anticipation, but also offensively, that we're doing more work before we ever touch it. And then defensive rebounding. I think we're 1 or 2 in the country in offensive rebounding, but we're really only in like the 75th percentile in defensive rebounding, which that's not who we are, and we should be much better at that. So making a huge emphasis on defensive rebounding percentage and how we're controlling the defensive glass.
How much of a positive is it to see your team go into Hawaii, play 3 games in a row, and maintain that level of effort? I know Hawaii was a little sluggish at the beginning, but you guys obviously proved something there, especially going into Big Ten with lots of travel.
I definitely think we matured some and not playing the score or our opponent, but truly playing to try to get to our identity and play consistently to our identity. And even Hawaii, I was thankful for the adversity. I was thankful to have a hostile crowd. I was thankful to have some referees that I didn't think things went our way, and be able to teach through that in that game and be able to still come out on top, because it's going to be more so that way at UW this weekend. I mean, they're going to have a great crowd. They're a really good team. We have a huge target on our back now. So I was thankful for the adversity and what that forced us to face. And the question I asked them in the locker room was, what got exposed in you or us that we need to deal with? And I thought they did a really good job holding the mirror up to themselves and figuring out, like, okay, we got a lot of growing we still need to do. So I think we had some good steps. You know, coaches are never happy, but I do think we made some good steps, and that's what we just really got to stay focused on week by week. And people are, you know, always talking to me about everything else down the road, or what do we need to do, or how this down the road in the Big Ten, and I'm just really focused on being present and helping our team minimize distractions and try to be the best version of ourselves. That's my job as a leader, and that's their job as learners, to be committed to just that.
And then last thing, like you mentioned, there's some shooters on that team.
Yeah.
What's the message going into this game to stop that 3-point?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're going to have to go over all their screens. You're not going to be able to go under and hope on anyone anymore. We used to have a couple we could with UW, and those don't exist anymore. So I think, you know, we're going to have to really do a great job in our off-ball defense and how they cut. I mean, they still run some chin stuff, and they're really good at it. They're really good in late clock situations, but they've just got a lot of kids who can attack the paint, but then also create those kick-out threes. I think the key to stopping the three-point line is being able to guard by yourself. If you force rotation every time, it's going to be a lot harder to chase them off the three-point line. So that's going to be a huge key for us, and they definitely have our respect and our attention.
How has Kiki been progressing working back from the injury at the start of the season?
Yeah, Kiki has been, you know, she of course had no idea what I was talking about. I said, hey, have you ever heard of the movie Stella Got Her Groove Back? And she goes, no. And I said, well, Kiki got her groove back. But I thought that was one of the highlights actually of the Hawaii weekend, was that, you know, that I thought got her sort of swagger back a little bit. And she didn't look so tentative to me. And I think she's starting to just really get her confidence. And she's shooting it great. You know, one of the silver linings of having that time off with her injury is it was just shoot. You know, she's just doing a really good job getting her jump shot right, and her defense is so improved this year, and so that's what I'm really enjoying watching. And I think her aggression level really went up, but she's getting close.
How has it been just progressing her, easing her back into a heavy workload and not rushing it?
No, I never have that problem with her. I actually have the problem to say, I just talked to her about it about 5 minutes ago and said, look, you know, you need to take a complete day off. Like, I have to kick Kiki out every week. In fact, when she was trying to do her extra work, I was like, bye, Kiki. She doesn't really listen very well, but I'm trying to get her to, part of being an elite competitor is understanding how recovery fits in. But that's the problem you want to have as a coach, right, is you want to have players you have to kick out of the gym. But, you know, she's really only knows one way, and that's to outwork everybody.
Can you talk about just the amount of depth you have on this team that has allowed her to not have to rush back and just be able to, you know, take it slow and now?
I remember when she went down during a practice earlier, and I turned to our staff and I said, the silver lining of this, I hope, is that it's going to force accelerated growth for Elina. And that is exactly what's happened. Elina was forced into a leadership position as a freshman, was forced to really take the reins of the point guard spot. I thought thought London Jones did a great job of come alongside her and giving her sort of some calming influence and other options as another backcourt mate. But I think that is actually really one of the silver linings, is I'm not sure that Elina would have made as big a progress if she wasn't forced into those dependent upon situations, and she knew there was no one else. So it wasn't like she had to look over her shoulder at all, and she was forced to grow at a rate that maybe she wouldn't have been forced to do, given the situation.
And I was going to ask about her. How has she changed the dynamic of the team? Taking that spot, and what you've seen from her transition to college basketball.
I mean, she's really an elite player. She's got her IQ is elite. She's the second fastest player on the team, and I don't even think she's using that to her ability, especially on defense. That's my challenge to her, is to use her athleticism, strength, basketball IQ to be a defensive playmaker. She likes to use it on offense, but she hasn't figured out how fun it can be for her to use it on defense as well. I think I really give a lot of credit to Coach Tasha and Coach Tony, who discovered her in the FIBA circuit, and they came back this summer and said, we think she's going to start for us at some point. I don't think any of us thought it was going to be this soon, but she's an elite guard, period. And Don Staley spoke to that, and she's really, really good.
Yeah, and you were quoted as saying, this is going to be a difference maker for the program.
Yeah.
Has she been as good as advertised in your eyes?
Better. You never know when the pressure comes, when there's a lot of adjustments to how they play in Finland, and even in the Euro Cup team that she played on last year, there's adjustments, and you never know how they're gonna progress in that. But it's been pretty seamless, and I can coach her. Our players would tell you that probably I coach her harder than anyone. I'm able to be very direct with her. She's really level. She shows up the same every day. She has elite work ethic. We're really lucky to have her.
And finally, with her, professional experience and that FIBA experience, how much of an edge does that give your team, especially going into the Big Ten competition, where these are really high-level teams?
Yeah, I think that's one of the big separators for her. Why she's not playing like a traditional freshman is that she had that year to play professional basketball as an amateur, and I just think she was forced into situations and pressures that I think she already understands that this pressure is a privilege. It's not a burden. It's a privilege, and so other freshmen have to work into that to believe that. And I think she had it before she got here. One just announcement that way too is that we have as of right now, we're looking to redshirt Amanda Muse and just really give her. I could not say enough good things about how she is developing and the work she's putting in for that. But just to let you guys know that that's what we're planning on doing with her, and so continuing to do that. And obviously the medical release went out today from Cori about Charlize Ledger-Walker, and man, we could not be any more thrilled that we're going to have her in our program for another year. And her impact has been so great even before she's ever touched the floor. I can't only imagine what it's going to be like when she's able to be on the floor on a consistent basis. So just an update from that perspective for you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you guys, appreciate it.